Roger Williams. Roger Williams lived from 1603 to 1683. He was a Puritan who emigrated from England to Massachusetts. He argued strongly to keep all Puritan congregations clearly separate from the Catholic or Episcopal churches and to not imitate their structures. In other words, he did not believe that God could speak or act through any church, but only through Scripture. He rebelled against the Puritan communities not only for what he saw as popery, imitating the structures of the Catholic Church, but also their mixing of church and state. His bloody tenet of persecution for the cause of conscience is a clear denunciation of any connection between church and state. Within this text, he portrays his views on religion and government. He believed there's a great deal of unnecessary bloodshed over religion. He believed that governments are civil in origin, not derived from God, so mixing religion with them creates a dangerous precedent. What if the government then claims to be acting on God's behalf? This results in many great abuses, often justified with the false logic such as the divine right of kings. He believed that people of all different religious beliefs are to be tolerated, in other words, left alone, not persecuted. One may attempt to convert them via evangelizing, but not with the force of law or persecution. Note that he not only argued for allowing different Christian beliefs, but also non-Christian as well. He says that the Bible does not call for any religious state, and he felt that mixing church and state corrupts both the government and the religion by making religion hypocritical and no longer a matter of individual choice. Williams was eventually kicked out of the Puritan Massachusetts Bay Colony and moved to Rhode Island, where he set up a community in Providence that adhered strictly to the separation of church and state, respect for Indian rights, and religious tolerance was practiced. Williams was an important figure to the Founding Fathers, such as Jefferson, Madison, Washington, Adams, who believed strongly in their views about religious tolerance and separation of church and state. How does this text influence modern discussions of separation of church and state? Well, it's important to recognize that even among some of the earliest settlers in the American colonies, there was a great deal of differing opinions about whether there should be a mixing between government and state. Roger Williams clearly came down on the side that religion and state should be kept separate so as to avoid corrupting either of them. The founding fathers of the United States, such as Thomas Jefferson, Ben Franklin, James Madison, John Adams, etc., were greatly influenced by Roger Williams' ideas on this issue. Thus, he is one of the most important and influential of the Puritan thinkers, even if he was seen as radical or outside of the mainstream of thought by many of his Puritan contemporaries. People who say things like, "This country was founded by people who believe that God should be part of our government," simply are ignoring the diversity of views on the issue of religion and government, even among the religious groups such as the Puritans. Yes, there were some prominent voices among the Puritans who felt this way, but many others who did not. After the Puritan decline by the mid-1700s, people like Thomas Jefferson and the other founding fathers consciously rejected the mainstream Puritan idea of intertwining government and religion. Instead, they sided with thinkers like Roger Williams, and it expanded his ideas even further.